He snatched my son off of my breast and he threw him against the wall.
Yeah, that will make a mother fight.
We started tussling. It hit him and I didn't even know it hit him. When he fell back, I seen blood. They handcuffed me.
Where was the baby?
Took me to the back seat of the car.
So wait, hold on. So the officer's telling you did it.
I couldn't believe everything had happened so fast because he wasn't the person he was when I first met him.
You were sentenced to life in prison. What was it like that first night in that prison cell?
I thought that my purpose in life was for people to hurt me because I never had somebody to really just love me. I said, Lord, I know you're going to begin a new chapter in my life. Surround me with positivity.
I want to go back to that day that changed everything. What happened that afternoon? This episode contains discussions of domestic violence, physical abuse, trauma, and strong language. These topics may be distressing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. Our next guest spent 23 years in prison after trying to protect herself. That sentence alone should make us pause. Because sometimes the line between survival and crime is not as clear as the law once believed. The abuse well documented, she was sentenced to life in prison. Welcome to Behind the Bruises. I'm your host, Candy Morrow. On January 5th, 2026, Nicole Boynton walked out of the prison a free woman after more than 2 decades behind bars. Her story began with fear, survival, and a justice system that has not always understood the realities many survivors face. Under Georgia's Justice for Survivors Act, Nicole's case was finally re-examined. After 2.5 years of legal work and advocacy, Judge Angela Brown sentenced her to time served and ordered her to be released that day. Her case was supported by dedicated attorneys from Alston Bird, LLP, who provided pro bono legal representation. Their work, along with the passing of the Justice for Survivors Act, helped bring Nicole home after 23 years. Today, Nicole joins us to share her story. Nicole, thank you for being here and trusting us with your story. Welcome to Behind the Bruises.
Thank you for having me today.
You're so welcome. I'm just so inspired by your bravery and your courage and your resilience and what you have been through. So let's dive into the questions.
Absolutely.
All right. Nicole, obviously that was my introduction to you. But what do you want Behind the Bruises listeners to know about you that they may not know?
So, a lot of people don't understand that I am more than just a woman who made the law that just passed under this HB 582 bill/law.
The Survivors for Justice Act. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's all you hear all the time is, oh, well, I want to hear her story. The bill just passed. She just got out. But it's so much more to me than just a bill passing. You know, it's been a struggle on the inside, and it's been a struggle now. Because when I got released, everybody expected me to be this frail and fragile person. Mm-hmm. And I've had 23 years to accumulate and think and process things out. So here I come out rejuvenated and ready to put forth everything that I've learned and had so many obstacles thrown my way, being denied SNAP benefits, having to wait on somebody else to tell me when and how. So in a way, I kind of still felt like I was in prison.
Yeah, yeah. I want to go back to that day that changed everything. What happened that afternoon?
Okay, so actually everything started the night before.
Okay.
We were arguing.
You and your boyfriend were arguing?
Yes.
Okay.
My son's father, bills need to be paid. Mm-hmm. My son needed things. I mean, I was working by myself. He didn't have a job. So
you were the primary breadwinner of the family at that
yes,
point.
absolutely. And the next day, it led over into the next day. Finally, he left, but then
He left that evening
he
or
left
that
that night.
Okay.
And later on that evening, I was upstairs. I lived in a townhome, 2 floors.
Okay.
And I was upstairs styling my hair. Just wanted to do something for me.
Sure.
And my son started crying.
And your son is how old at this time?
He was 9 months old.
Okay.
And of course, people were like, 9 months, but yes, I was told I can still feed him, breastfeed up until
of course.
1 year old.
Of course.
So my son was crying, and I went to his room. And my grandma had a favorite rocking chair that she bought for me so I can nurse. And I was feeding him. And his father came home, and he came up the steps, and he said, "You're still spending time with him?" He actually called him the N-word. "You're still spending time with that little N?" And my biggest mistake was looking at him and then just waving my hand off. And before I knew it, he snatched my son off of my breast and he threw him against the wall.
The baby.
The baby. And we began fighting.
Yeah. That will make a mother fight.
I don't know exactly how long we were fighting, but we were fighting. And I can remember hearing someone at the door knocking because our town home windows were open.
Okay.
So they heard the noises and probably the impact from the walls of being tossed and turned everywhere.
Yeah.
And he instantly just stopped when he heard the knocking, and he ran down the steps. And during the time that he ran down the steps, I went to go check on my son. I picked him up and I put him in the crib. He was breathing, but he was unconscious. After that, I ran down the steps. I can hear him telling the girl, I heard one of the ladies say, "I want to see her. I want to know if she's okay." And he lied to her and he told her, "Oh, she's in the shower, she's fine," and slammed the door in her face. I was already down the steps towards that last step when he turned around and he seen me. So in my mind, I'm like, if I run up the steps, there's no way I can get away from him. So I ran past the living room into the kitchen, and he ran after me. In our kitchen, we had an island.
Okay.
So he chased me around the
It's
island.
like in the center of the kitchen.
Yes.
Okay.
And I happened to end up on the side where there was drawers, utilities. And I grabbed the knife, not to hurt him, but I grabbed the knife thinking if he seen that I had the knife in my hand, that he would just stop. But he didn't care that I had
It
the
might
knife in my
deter
hand.
him from hurting you.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he said, "Oh, you're going to stab me?" And I said, "I don't want nobody to get hurt. I just want you to leave me alone. I want you to leave." "Oh, what are you going to do? You're going to stab me?" And before I knew it, he grabbed my arm. He grabbed my wrist that I had the knife in. And we started tussling. It hit him, and I didn't even know it hit him until he fell back. When he fell back, I seen blood.
Okay.
And I hurried up and I called 911. So by this time I'm frantic, I'm screaming, I'm crying, I'm saying, "Look, I need help." Me and my boyfriend got into it. I stabbed him, but I really didn't stab him. I had the knife. I just was trying to scare him, but he grabbed my arm and I need help. So the dispatch lady, she was telling me, "Just calm down, find the wound." And I said, I can't tell, because he had on a red, jersey netted shirt. So she said, "Please just pull up the shirt." And I did. And it was a small wound close to his heart, but it was pumping out so much blood. So she told me to find something. So I ran back to where we kept our son's playpen, and I grabbed the blanket, the baby blanket, and I tried my best to apply pressure. And he grabbed my arm in the process.
So he was still
He was
alert
still
at that
alive.
point. Okay.
Because he grabbed my arm while I was applying the pressure, to him. And all of this was on the 911 tape. I'm sorry. I love you. Please help me. I didn't mean to do it.
He's saying this to you?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't mean to do it. I'm sorry. I love you. Please help me. And I'm, crying back. I love you too. I'm trying. I remember the police officers got there before ambulance. And so when they came, they pushed me off of him and threw me towards the wall, one of the walls.
So you're applying pressure, and they push you against the wall, so there's no pressure being applied
Right.
to his wound. Okay.
And so now I'm yelling at the officers to help him. And one of the officers tell me I did it. And I'm like, at least I'm applying pressure.
So wait, hold on. So the officer's telling you did it.
Right. And
He's not asking.
No, he told me, you did it. And I said, I'm applying pressure to him, and you're yelling, sir, are you okay? Those were the words, sir, are you okay? Like literally looking at him, but not applying anything. And I just felt like at least by me applying pressure, that was saving his life a little bit longer than what he had. And maybe
prevent him from losing blood.
Right.
Blood. Yeah.
5 or 10 minutes later, after they arrived, the ambulance came.
Wow.
And
was he alive when they took him out of the house?
Yes, they had put him on a stretcher.
And he was alive at that point?
He was still alive.
Okay.
And they handcuffed me, and they took me to the back seat of the car.
Where was the baby?
My son was still upstairs, and I asked about him, and they asked me if I had someone to pick him up, and I told them my grandmother. And it's like as soon as they put me in the back seat of the car, then that's when I heard my son cry, because the whole time that all of that had happened, I didn't hear my son, period.
Wow.
So to hear him crying, that let me know
he was okay.
And I just was like, can you please go get my son? And I think it was a lady, one of the lady officers said, we're gonna wait till your grandmother comes. So he cried the whole time until my grandmother arrived on the scene.
They left him upstairs?
They left him upstairs. Okay. But in a report that I got, when I looked at all my documents, it said that they had got my son and brought him down and he was fine, but that wasn't the truth. My son, I can still hear him upstairs crying when I was in the back seat. Mm-hmm. And they pulled me, sent me to the Marietta police station.
When you were sitting in the back of that police car, what was going through your mind?
I couldn't believe everything had happened so fast.
Were you playing it over and over again
in
your head?
I couldn't believe everything happened so fast. I couldn't believe that I was sitting in the back seat of that car. Because he wasn't the person he was when I first met him. And I think that's why I was trying to hold on, thinking if I stay or do this, he'll be the person that I met when I first met him.
Yeah. That was going to be my next question. Could you get a tissue for her? Right behind her.
Thank you.
Sorry, didn't mean to make you cry. That was going to be my next question, Nicole, was what was like before that day with him?
To be honest, it was actually fun.
Wasn't?
I met him at a point in my life where I was kind of already going through some things, and I met him at my job. I was working in a nursing home, Delmar Gardens, and we did things together. We went to Barnes and Nobles, we did the pool hall, we went to eat wings. He was a nice guy.
When did he change?
He
When did you
changed.
notice that change? Was it after the baby?
He changed while I was actually pregnant,
Okay.
and but after I had the baby, it got worse.
Do you think there was a jealousy of the baby? Was he jealous of the baby? Did he interact with the baby at all?
He did in the beginning, and then it shifted, and I didn't know that men can go through postpartum, but they said that's what he was going through.
But it seems like there's a jealousy there because when he walked up those stairs after being gone the night before and said to you, called the baby a horrific name,
He did.
and it seemed like there was a jealousy going on there because he basically said, "You still feeding the baby?"
Like, I mean, what are you supposed to do when you have a newborn? The baby looks up to you to take care of
Of
it, to
course,
provide,
of
and
course,
to nurse. And
absolutely, absolutely.
you're supposed to. It's
You were
not
doing what a
about
mother should be
right.
doing. Exactly.
And it's your child. And when you feel like you've lost everything, and then just to have that bundle of joy that you know that you've protected the whole 9 months, it's
That's your
security
job.
blanket.
You
Yeah.
bet. That's your job. You
And
brought
that's
that.
all I had. I felt like at that time I was going through so much. I could at least pour back into my son what I've lost. I can give it back to him
Sure.
to keep him safe and to make him happy.
Yeah.
That's what kept me going.
Yeah. Can you take us back to your early childhood years and help us understand what life was like when you grew up? Did you have your mom, your dad? What was the environment like?
To be honest, Candace, I thought that my purpose in life was for people to hurt me, because I never had somebody to really just love me. And even growing up, I had a horrible childhood. My dad used to abuse my mom,
Physically abuse her?
physically, mentally.
Mentally?
And because I looked just like my dad, she would take things out on me. And not to even blame her, that's just how it was. She had a bad childhood, and she was forced to raise her siblings, and then here I come. She met my dad to get away from all of that. And then he abused her, so it's a pattern.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my grandmother on my father's side stepped in. She's already had me off and on.
Your father's mother?
My father's mother.
Okay.
She
Okay.
already had me off and on since I was a baby. But she permanently decided to get me when I turned 15.
Now, you were raised in New York, correct?
No,
No?
it was back and forth.
Okay, so your parents lived in New York?
Yes.
Okay, but your grandmother lived here?
Yeah, she moved down here with her job. She was originally in New York.
Okay. So you were back and forth from Atlanta to New York, trying to find
Yes.
somewhere peaceful.
Yes. And it was weird because regardless of what I went through in New York, that's all I knew. So when my grandma did get me, I was still missing being in the city. So she would still try to cultivate
that out.
something like, well,
Did your grandmother, show love and affection?
yes,
towards
she
you?
taught me everything I know.
Yeah.
Wonderful woman. She taught me how to smile. She taught me how to budget. She taught me how to do things I didn't know I could do. She installed in me that regardless of what I go through, that her favorite word was to always keep my head up.
Oh,
Never look down, but keep your head up.
she was a good mom to you, right?
She was a great mom and a great father. She was 2 in 1. And a grandmother, so 3 in 1.
So she was a star.
She was, and I mean, she was the type of person that if I loved them, she loved them. And she was my angel. She showed me in natural form who God is.
Okay.
She showed me how to pray. She took me to church. She showed me how to love
So
when
she,
I wanted to hate.
yeah, because you're angry. You're angry as a child. So you really learned about violence as a young child.
Yes. And I said, because I've went through so much as a child, I'm going to do things different, not knowing that it would turn into everything that I went through as a child. I would be the one to go through it all over again as an adult, which is the same thing I was trying to avoid.
Yeah,
The only
unfortunately.
thing different was that I didn't treat my children like family treated me.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
said I would never not love my child.
sure, sure. How has family life been affected by all of this? You know, your extended family as well.
I don't know them. Once my grandmom got me, it was just me and my grandmother.
Okay.
And I've had family, I want to say, I don't know if it was really jealousy or just feeling some type of way because some of the grandkids might not want to, they'll, oh, she's showing favoritism. I'm the favorite. It wasn't, and my grandma had to explain to them, it wasn't that I was the favorite. They had a mom and a dad versus I didn't
Yeah,
have neither.
yeah.
So she took on that part of being a mom and dad and a grandmother.
Okay.
But because I lived with her, it was different for me.
Yeah, yeah.
But she didn't do anything less for the other grandkids. Every summer, she told everybody to come on down to Georgia. She kept the kids for the summer. We went to Six Flags. We went to Whitewaters. She did everything. And even when their parents would bring money, my grandma said, no, everybody gets the same thing. That way, one child doesn't have more than, this child might have $300 versus that 50. She even gave them the money back. No, everybody's going to get the same thing. So we won't feel, left out.
She sounds like a very special lady.
Yes.
Is she still with us?
No, she passed 3 years ago.
So before you got out of prison, she passed.
And that was her biggest thing. I want her to see me
Yeah.
release.
Yeah. But she did. Just from
Yes.
heaven.
She did.
Yes, she did. Do you have any idea? Are your parents still alive, or what's?
They're still alive, but it's judgmental and taking sides, and I'm just not with all of that.
Yeah.
I have so much new family. When I was on the inside, I prayed, Lord, just
When you say on the inside, you mean in prison?
in prison.
Okay. All right.
And I said, Lord, I know you're going to begin a new chapter in my life. Surround me with positivity. Surround me with people who are really for me to help me positive, nothing negative to enter my spirit. And he has given me so many new friends and people that I don't even, you don't have to be blood to be family.
No, that's very true.
I've met Heath, one of my attorneys / friends. I've met Aaron. I've met Ellie. I've met so many wonderful people. Asher, Joey, you, Miss
We're all on your
Barbara.
side.
It's
We're all
a
on your
lot of
side.
people I've met, and they're interesting, and you have a lot of hate, but you also have a lot of love. And so it's amazing to receive so much love from people you've never met.
Well, you're kind of easy to love. You're sitting in the back of the police car, all of these thoughts are running through your mind, and then they take you to the police station. And are you in that police station's, I guess you'd say, jail for 4 months, correct?
No, so they took me to like this small room, and it had like a 2-sided mirror
At the police station?
at the police
Okay.
station. And They had a tape player, but it wasn't a tape in there. But I wasn't stupid. I knew what was going on in
Oh, so they had like a regular
a
tape player
table.
on the table? Mm-hmm. Okay, but there was no tape in it.
No, but I knew I was being recorded somehow, some way.
Oh, so you were, okay.
I was recorded. But I
Okay.
don't know if that was just their
For
way of
show
doing
or
right.
to intimidate you or, whatever.
And, my grandma always told me if I tell the truth, then I'll be okay. And so I didn't know nothing about the law. I just, when they asked me questions, I answered them to the best of my ability. I told them everything prior to what happened the night before, to what happened that night. And in the beginning, I was under the impression that he was okay. I asked
So
about
you
him.
didn't know if he was still alive or not at that time then, right?
No, because I asked about him even during the time that they was interviewing me or asking me questions. Was he okay? And I remember one of the detectives or officers say he's fine. And then after everything was over with, he tells me that my son's father passed away.
Phew.
I fell out
Yeah. Yeah.
because I seen the wound and I didn't think it was that deep for him not to survive.
Okay, so did they tell you what they were going to charge you with at that time or?
He said homicide, and then they transferred me to the actual jail that I was going to actually be in.
Okay, so the police station you're in is not connected to the jail?
No, that it was two different
Two different buildings.
stations
Okay. Okay, so they transported you then
to
to the
Cobb County.
Cobb County Jail? Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. And that's where you waited for several months, correct?
Correct.
And did you mentioned that you didn't have a public defender? They didn't assign you a. Did you go before the judge or anything after when you were placed in that jail?
So what happened with that was, no, I didn't have a public defender. But one day I was reading the newspaper and I seen an article about this basketball player who killed his girlfriend and they let him have a bond. So I decided to write the judge myself. And I wrote him saying, if you can give a man who actually killed his wife or girlfriend on purpose, and because he's a basketball player and he has money, why can't you let somebody go that didn't intentionally mean to do anything? And the judge, my grandma said it was something that the judge seen in my writing that he decided to grant me a hearing.
So let me back up here and try to understand. So once they placed you in that jail, they never gave you an arraignment. I thought by law you're supposed to go before a judge to plead guilty or innocent or whatever. They never did that in the 4 months that you were in the jail?
No, I didn't have an arraignment.
Wow. Okay. Oh my goodness. So then that particular judge that you wrote to then released you
So
from.
I went to the hearing and they had a guy, it was a guy that witnessed my son's father attack me the night before everything happened. I mean, not the night before everything happened, but prior to everything that happened that night that caused his death.
He had been physical with you before.
Right, and he
That.
had got arrested for doing
Oh,
it.
he was arrested. Okay.
And that particular night, a maintenance guy had to pull him off of me. So that guy was able to testify on my behalf to the judge about what he seen that actual night, which helped aid in the situation of allowing him to release me on bond.
Okay. Oh my goodness. So you were eventually charged with malice murder, felony murder, and aggravated
Aggravated
assault.
assault.
When you heard the judge say that you're being charged with these murder charges, what went through your mind?
What went through my mind is this could have been prevented all the times that I did call for help, only for them to want to arrest both of us. It didn't matter of the bruises. It didn't matter. I stopped calling for help.
How many times would you say you called for help?
Maybe 5 or 6 times, but the same result. So when it continued, I just didn't call anymore. But to put all those titles on me when I know that's not the type of person I was.
Yeah.
Even after he jumped on me from the incident of the maintenance guy having to pull him off of me, I still went to jail to visit him. I still went to the county jail and put money on his books because a part of me was still trying to see the same guy I met. Mm-hmm. I did that because I had a child with him, and I didn't want to not have my son have a 2-parent home.
I understand that totally, because that's what usually happens within an abusive relationship. Is in the beginning they're sweet, they're loving, they're caring, you have fun together, and you want to be loved so badly. You finally found this person that you can connect with. But then as the months and the days go by, that real person comes alive. And it's not the person that you thought they were, but they're blaming you for their behavior.
Right.
So you keep thinking, if I change this, or I look better here, if I do this differently, he'll love me like he did in the beginning.
Absolutely.
I could totally relate to that because that's exactly what happened to me as well, too. When did they finally assign you legal counsel?
Afterwards.
After
My grandmother saw it. Me and my grandmother saw it. We went to Marietta, and we got 2 public offenders. It was started out with 1, and then they combined.
Why did they have 2?
At the time, the first one I had, he was kind of ill. He was sick.
Okay.
And so they used 2.
They brought in another attorney. But you were the one that had to seek out legal counsel.
Yes.
Even when you were released on bond and you went before the judge, you had no representation?
No.
Gosh. Okay. Oh, geez, that's... When you're sitting in this courtroom and the jury ultimately convicted you, I think it was felony murder they convicted you of?
They convicted me of felony murder and aggravated assault.
And aggravated assault. Okay. And you were sentenced to life in prison. Do you remember that moment and what was going through your mind at that time in that courtroom?
I couldn't believe that they found me guilty. I understand a life was gone, and I wouldn't even mind doing time because a life is gone, but to give me a life sentence with parole and then an additional 5 years to run concurrent, I didn't understand.
What was the additional 5 years to run concurrent for? Was that for the aggravated assault?
It was for aggravated assault.
Okay.
What really turned my mind off of everything is I've done this since I was a little child. I could be hurt, but if it's somebody I really love and I see them hurting, it's like I can disconnect from that and focus on the person who was hurting. Mm-hmm. And I was disconnected because I heard my grandmother crying.
She was in the courtroom?
She was in the courtroom, and I've never heard my grandma cry the way she did. It sounded like a wounded animal. Oh. And so I disconnected my feelings of how I should feel because it turned into me not wanting my grandma to cry or me not wanting to see her like that.
That broke your heart. So you were able to disconnect from what you were feeling for you, and you heard your grandmother cry, and that's where your heart went.
Yes.
Yeah. After your trial, it came to light that the judge and the clerk of the court had some legal issues of their own going on.
Right.
When did you find out about that, and how did that make you feel?
I found out about 5 or 6 years later, after everything happened, the sentencing. I was doing some research because I was just really trying to get back into seeing how I can get released or get a lesser charge. And I came upon this, they call it judicial rulings, something to that nature. And the judge that sentenced me and the court clerk were in that judicial
That document.
findings.
Yeah.
And it was like a blow to my stomach
Yeah.
because they were charged with sex scandal and corruption. And the first thing that went to my mind is, how did I even know I had a fair sentence?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because here I am in a case of domestic violence dispute. Then he's abusing women to whatever degree. How did I know that when he seen me, it wasn't the same thing? He had already refused to give the jurors a question that they asked in regards to my sentencing.
What question did the jurors ask?
So the jurors asked a question, and they wanted to know if the stabbing was unintended, how would felony murder or something merge in with aggravated assault? I'm not exactly kind of sure how that went about, but I know they found me not guilty. They already automatically found me
Not guilty
of malice murder.
Okay.
But when it came to the felony murder, they didn't want to charge me for that. They was just going to charge me originally for
Aggravated assault.
and it would have been 5 years, but it was a question they was not really sure about.
That they weren't clear of, that they needed
Right.
the judge's clarification on.
And the judge told them, his response was he could not give them that answer. So they thought they had to convict me of felony murder. And when they convicted me of felony murder and they realized I had got a life sentence with parole, that was not what they wanted. But they couldn't impeach the same juror. Then you had a DA that was already gunning for a win because he just lost a case.
So there was a lot of circumstances going on
Right.
prior to your case being heard before the judge.
Right.
And when did you find out that there was a plea deal that the prosecutor had offered to your public defender, but your public defender never
tell
let you
me.
know?
I didn't know.
How did you find that out?
Afterwards. It's probably
You're
really
like being your own detective.
some years later, really, I didn't know I had a plea deal. I didn't.
But you found out through your research or your digging around that?
Yes. And then even recently of me being released, before I was released, the DA brought that up, that I had a plea deal that I didn't know anything about. I really didn't. And the plea deal was for 15 years.
So from the get-go, this was a nightmare
Right.
of flaws along the way that were thrown in your lap. I mean, I can't imagine you're reading through this stuff and you're sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole, but another 5 years to run concurrent. And you're reading through these documents that there's a plea bargain which should have been offered to you, that you would have gotten maybe 5 years, but you're sitting there in life in prison. Didn't that infuriate you?
It did.
I can only imagine.
It did. But sometimes when your back is against the wall, you don't know where to go. I didn't know, at that time, I didn't know, me or my grandma, we didn't know anything about the law. I still always just went by what she said. If you tell the truth, it's going to pay off. And
So did you find these documents, of inaccuracy and that sort of thing, or all these issues that came up? Did you find this online, or how were you able to research this, or did your grandmother do it for you when you were?
so they have, in prison, they have law libraries where you can look up
Okay.
certain things.
All right.
And I started putting pieces together. And then at the time, I had my transcripts before the prison lost them. But I was able to look up stuff, and then I started praying over stuff, and God started giving me clarity about certain things. And then I might wake up with something new on my heart, and then I'll redirect questions to my grandmother, and then my grandma would tell me stuff that she never told me. And I'm like, like one year I called home, and I don't know how we ended up talking about the case, but she was like, yeah, one of the prosecution team members knew the family. And I'm like, Grandma, why you didn't tell me this? So it's
Oh,
like each
wow.
year I would find new stuff that I didn't know about. And
How did you contain that anger?
sometime I would work out. Sometime I would just cry and have pity parties. Sometime I would just write. And I would find, and so being in prison, I received skills and learned more things about me that I didn't know.
Okay.
And when I started writing, I realized that was my gift, whether it was to somebody or just writing, period. And through my poetry, and I would go and look back through it, I would find my own answers. And so those are the ways that I would cope.
You're one courageous woman. When you're in the courtroom and the judge says life in prison, 5 years concurrent, whatever, however the verbiage that they use, and they lead you off out that door, what was in your mind? Other than, I know your grandmother was very important to you, but the uncertainty of not knowing where you were going to go or what it was going to be like, or the fear. You're 18 years old. Or no, at this point,
No, I'm
you're 21?
21.
21 years old. Still, you're a baby. What was in your mind when when you arrived at that prison and they said what to you?
I felt like I had an out of body experience. With I first step into the prison, I was told to put my feet into these two. They had like footprints, and I was told to put my feet into those two footprints
It was in the floor?
in the cement and
Okay.
stay still.
Oh,
Don't move. Don't go outside of that footprints. And then they have 5 or 6 CERT team members yelling and screaming.
CERT team?
They call them CERT teams.
CERT, okay.
Yelling and screaming in my face. Who do you think you are? Oh, you bad. I mean, and it wasn't just me. It was other ladies lined up.
So it was several of you that were...
And told to stay still. Don't say nothing. Don't look at me. Don't. And then after that process, to go to another area and to be stripped of all your clothes,
So you're totally naked.
totally naked in front of the other person, to squat and cough,
So that's a real thing. Wow.
to have chemicals put in your hair that takes your hair out because they want to delice you.
Even though you didn't have lice.
Right.
What was it like that first night in that prison cell?
Again, I didn't want to believe I was there. Everything was hurting, from my heart to my grandmother crying, to me missing my children. I'm nursing, so I'm sore. I didn't understand how that became my life. How do a person that's considered one of the most selfless people end up being in a predicament like that? How do a person who continuously, no matter what somebody do to them, still continue to love, for them to end up having the worst end of the stick?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, you had a team of lawyers that somehow you reached out to them, or
So
did they reach out to you like about 2.5, 3 years ago?
yes, again, I always get this urge, and I never stopped writing, even when people turned me down, and I just kept writing and kept writing. And I wrote, even at the time, President Obama, I wrote him and got a letter back saying, you got good grounds, but we don't do state. We only do federal. So I said,
Yeah.
this is the president. You're even telling me I got good grounds. And I said, just gonna have to give it up. And then I seen a flyer sitting on the table, and I picked it up, and it said, survivor's justice. And I said, well,
So that's how you found
that's
out
how
about you
it
saw
was,
a flyer on
yeah,
the table.
it was a flyer
in
on the
prison.
table. And then I actually took the flyer, but I didn't fill it out. I just kept it for,
What was it asking you to fill out?
it was like, have you been in a domestic violence? Are you in prison for domestic violence? It was talking about your childhood. What are some of the things you went through? What was your sentence? How are you, just different questions
Like
like
a
that.
questionnaire, okay.
And like I said, I had it for like 2 weeks, and then I just finally filled it out. And then maybe
And what did you do after you filled it out?
I sent it off
To who?
to them, to the address.
Oh, so there's an address
Yeah,
on
it was
this.
an address on it.
Okay, all right.
And
Okay.
maybe like almost 3 weeks to a month later, I get a response. And at the time, we were able to also JPay through our tablet. So
Okay.
they started writing me that way too.
Okay.
And then they came to see me in person and to do like summarize, like to do the final, to screening to see
When you
if
say they, who?
it was just different people from the organization.
From the Survivors Act organization?
Right.
Okay, they came to visit. Okay.
They came
Were
to
they
see-
attorneys or were they?
I would say they were. I wasn't
You wasn't
quite.
sure. Okay.
And they did the final screening to see if I qualify, and I
I think you qualify.
I got a letter.
I'm not an attorney. I'm just a nurse.
I got a letter finally stating, it said, we are happy. It said the JFIC wanted to let you know that we would be honored to take your case, and that they had found attorneys at Alston Bird that would do pro bono. But at the time, it was just for parole. It wasn't for.
Okay. So Alston and Bird, they're a law firm in Atlanta.
Yes, they are the second largest law firm in the state of Georgia.
Wow. Okay. You go big.
Yes.
Oh, great.
Yes.
So then they came to visit you in the prison?
So it started off with phone calls. Well, it started off with, paperwork and client privilege and documents that I had to fill out. And then after that, then it was a process of phone calls once a week, sometimes twice a week. And it just turned into a relationship, and then visitation sometimes. And they have never missed a phone call once or twice a week. The whole 2.5, 3 years that.
Was that from the very beginning gave you a spark of hope?
Yes, because to just get that letter and say, wow, somebody finally is listening to me.
Yeah.
That kept me going, that made me want to help myself.
That's the biggest thing with being abused is nobody believes you.
Right. And
So for somebody to believe you
Right.
finally, after all this injustice.
It gave me hope.
Yeah.
And then I just started going in. I started giving them everything that I had, sending stuff. And I still got all the letters. One letter they wrote me back. That was quick. You sent all this stuff in fast, because I wanted them to know that
You meant business. You want to get
this
out of
is
there.
true, and these things happen to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And even with the other attorneys and stuff I wrote, they will even tell me I have good grounds, but nobody wanted to touch a case that happened a decade or 2 decades ago. And I'm thinking this would be, in my head, this would be a good publicity.
Yeah, yeah.
This is a woman,
You get some press,
good
sure.
grounds, la la la. That's how I was thinking of it.
Yeah.
But they weren't seeing it. No, we can't. It's 2 decades old. We don't want to touch it.
Why would they say it's 2 decades old? They don't want to touch it. That's ridiculous. I don't understand.
That's what I received.
I bet you that's
But
what you were
the
thinking.
first couple of years, it was just a decade, and then the decade turned into 2 decades.
Yeah.
Because that's how long I kept writing. And same stuff. Wrote Washington a lot, but I would get redirected back to Write Your State first, which I had already done. It would show them copies, paperwork would get lost. Then it got to the point where I was doing so much writing, I felt personally the prison wouldn't send my letters out,
Okay.
you know.
You thought they were keeping them.
I thought they were.
So it wasn't until Alston Bird law firm got involved that things started moving forward.
Yes.
And they originally was going to go for parole.
Right.
And why were they just going to go for parole? Why didn't they go for full pardon?
Well, because at that time, that's all it was for. It was just for to help me get released under, for parole. But
so that's only the only parameters that they had to work with.
Right.
Was parole.
Right, at the time.
Okay, okay. And then the Survivors Justice Act came into play.
Right.
And they kind of shifted gears then.
Right.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Absolutely.
So when you found out what the Survivors Justice Act actually was, that you could literally, walk out a free woman, that must have just gave you so much hope.
It did, because it finally, in my mind, it clicked, and I said, when I stopped trying to do everything by myself and rely on God, I can get more help. And because I was always watching my back, because everything that happened to me, it was hard for me to try to ask for help or go here or go here. But I had to put my trust in someone. And so the more that I trusted God, then the more he started showing me on his end through other people what he can do. And that's how my faith started building, but it also built up their faith, because when they seen things moving, then that gave them hope. Oh, I am doing something right, and I can help this person. And so it was a domino effect both ways.
So after a couple of years of, filing papers and going through documents and that sort of thing, you were originally scheduled to have the hearing before the judge on December 15th or 12th or somewhere around there, right? But it got postponed.
It did.
Why did it get postponed?
Something came up. The judge had an emergency.
Okay.
So it got, thrown back.
Okay. So then it was then rescheduled for January 5th, correct?
Correct.
Okay. How did you handle that when they came in, or when the attorneys, I imagine, told you, Nicole, we're postponed for a month, but don't worry? I mean, really?
I was devastated. And the reason why I was devastated, because the DA already didn't want it to go forth.
The district attorney didn't want the hearing to take place?
No, they didn't want it to take place on the 12th. They wanted to have more time, because all of these years that I had been fighting for my transcripts, a second copy of my transcripts, because the prison lost my first one. The lawyers didn't have any copies. And
whose lawyers?
My lawyers.
Okay, Alston Bird did not have, okay.
And they have been asking over and over. And the DA says there's no record. So at the last minute, when it's time for me on January the 5th to go to court, magically they appear.
Oh, the prosecution.
And they needed more time, because they wanted to go through the transcripts that they said they never had. So
what did Alston Bird law firm say about that?
Oh, no. We're still ready to go.
All right.
But it just so happens that it gave them more time anyway, because the judge had an emergency. But in my mind, I didn't see that. I'm not even going to lie. I said, did the judge want to do this because this is what they really wanted and just said it was an emergency? I didn't know what to think.
Yeah.
Because the judge even at first had told them, no, it's still going to go on. So then I had to reprocess everything, say, no, the judge it had to be an emergency because she even told them, no, it's still going to go ahead and go forth.
Okay.
But then something came up on her end.
Okay.
And then I said, okay, well, that'll just give the attorneys at Alston Bird more time to just perfect it even more than what they already have.
Yeah. Yeah. That day that you walked into the courtroom, or the night before, let's go to the night before.
Okay.
You're hearing on January 5th, so it's January 4th. What are you thinking? What's going through your mind?
I couldn't sleep. I didn't sleep at all.
I'll bet.
I didn't sleep. I was pacing. I was praying.
Were you nervous? Or?
I wasn't nervous. I was excited.
Okay.
I was excited because I knew God was going to deliver, but I didn't know how he was going to do it. And I was excited because to be free, I knew I was going to be free. I couldn't sleep.
So you knew it?
I knew it because I couldn't sleep. And then the morning came, and my prayer that morning was, I said, Lord, I need you to show up and show out for me. I know you always do, but this day is different. This day will allow me to be released. And you have a lot of people that don't want to see me released. You have a lot of people through my release, it's going to build their faith back up, and it's going to give them hope. So I need you to show up and show out on me. Show up and show out for me so that they can believe who you are. And I need you to do this because when you do it the way you do it, you can't say that it came from nobody else but you.
Yeah.
So I need you to do this. I need you to shut the mouth of my enemy, and I need you to shut the mouth of all of the people who speak negatively, and let them know that nobody can come against you.
So when you walked in the courtroom that next morning, how were you still believing that God was going to take care of you? And you just
because of
kinda
how
knew?
everything happened at the last minute, the DA decided he wanted to consent to all terms.
Oh, so up until that point, the DA was not even consenting to, release your release. Is that?
He agreed for some of the things, but to just say I consent, that meant a lot. And he did it at the last minute because he knew he was going to lose. I mean,
He had to save his face somehow.
and then he was so disrespectful to my attorneys to say,
The prosecutor was disrespectful
yes,
to the
say
Alston
that,
Bird attorneys?
yes, to say that they would be beaten by junior attorneys. They're going to lose to junior attorneys.
Oh, the prosecutor called them junior attorneys.
And it just is sad because
Apparently they didn't know who they were dealing with.
And is another thing that hurts my heart, because it doesn't matter how old you are, knowledge comes through experience.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter if you're wise. Just because you're older doesn't make you wise. Experience is what make you wise.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they may have been junior, but they were dedicated. They was loving. They had a heart of compassion. They knew how to treat people. And that's why they got the results that they did.
Yeah, I kind of like go with the thought that if you can have the knowledge, you can go to college, you can do all of your good stuff, but if your heart is not in it, it's not going to happen.
Right.
Things are not going to happen. So apparently these guys with and gals and women, men and women, folks, I guess you'd say, they had their heart in this.
Right.
How many attorneys would you say were involved with your case?
Around 12 to 15. Maybe it just kept accumulating. They heard the story, they wanted in. They had fun doing it.
They did.
And every time I meet somebody new or accumulated a new attorney, what I was doing was I was getting them together. It's like they may have already known each other, but I'll say, what's your birthday? What's your birthday? And then when we get together, it's like, did you know this person's birthday is this day? And some of them had the same birthday. And then they begin to have a relationship within
That's
themselves.
great. So
They
you brought
became a
people-
family.
Even in prison, you're bringing people together.
They became a family. And
That's wonderful.
And then find out some of the attorneys' family, moms and dads knew each other growing up in school. They would never known that had they not got my case,
So on January 5th, you went before Judge Angelina Brown.
Judge Angela Z. Brown.
Angela Z. Brown.
Yes.
Okay.
Because we have two Judge Angela Browns.
Oh, okay. Z.
Sorry, it's Z.
Okay. So you're standing there and you're waiting for the judge to, give her answer to you and all. Are you still standing there with faith and strength and, you got it all together? What were what were your attorneys doing? Were they nervous? Were they happy?
They were smiling. They already knew because of the consent.
Okay. So they knew they were on a good side.
But what was so spectacular about the judge was I never seen a judge so humble.
No.
I've never seen a judge. Her spirit was so gentle. When I even sat down, she introduced herself. She looked me dead in the eye. She told me how everything was going to work out and how she read through my paperwork thoroughly. She
was she so emotional with you?
Yeah, she was impacted, but she had to leave a couple of times.
She had to leave the courtroom?
To go to break, To
kind of pull herself together?
Right.
Wow. She was so annoyed and upset about the way that you were treated.
Yes.
And the injustice.
And I prayed over her. I didn't know, before I knew who I was assigned to, I prayed over the judges that whoever the judge was, when he or she seen me, they wouldn't see what I was sentenced to. They would see who God is in me. That when they looked at me, they wouldn't see somebody who society said was a murderer.
Yeah.
Or intentionally did something.
Yeah.
That she would see me as a changed person, that she would see me as a woman who has a future and that can make a difference and that is willing to change and that just wants a fair chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she did that. She vacated my life sentence.
So you are not tied to any...
Nothing.
No parole. I mean, you are completely...
I can vote. I can
go out. Vote.
Yes.
Yay. All right.
Yes.
So what did you do when you left the courthouse?
Wow.
Where was the first place you went?
So me and my attorneys, they took me to Target with all kinds of goodies. I have to back up,
Okay.
When the judge vacated my sentence, what she did was she took the life sentence off and then she gave me time served.
Okay.
Versus had I made parole before this law came out, I would probably be on parole for the rest of my life. So it took this new law to come out.
So basically what happened was Alston Bird started out with the parole here, wanting to get you on parole.
Right.
But then the Survivor Justice Act came into play.
Right.
And they're like, oh gosh, this is better, let's shift to that.
Right. So it's no longer...
Completely
we're not even worried about parole no more. We have a better deal doing it this way.
Gotcha.
Because I fit all three prongs of the Survivors Justice Act.
Okay.
So it worked out even better.
Even better.
Yes.
What a great
Not
win.
on paper.
Oh.
Don't have to be supervised. I can walk freely, go to the park. I can vote. I can go out to another state. I can be free.
That's wonderful.
I am free.
That is wonderful. You are free, my friend.
Yes.
So after you got out, you had no place to stay.
No.
No place to go. Nothing, tangible, other than maybe a toothbrush and some toothpaste in your hand. But the attorneys put you up in this
Yes.
kind of a bougie hotel. Tell me about that.
It was so wonderful. The bed was huge. And I kept looking I didn't know what to do with myself. I cut on lights. I had the TV going. I jumped up and down the bed.
You jumped up and down on the bed?
I sure did.
And you had the TV going? Because I would think that it's quiet, but in the prison, there's always noise going on.
But I was enjoying the things that I didn't really have access to. Like we had access to TV and lights, but they were controlled. Versus I can just go in that room and cut the TV on, have all things on at one time, and can nobody tell me, oh, turn that down. I'm lights jumping on the bed. I didn't even sleep. It felt so good to be in the room.
Yeah.
And but we went shopping. Then they took me to one of my favorite restaurants, but also one of my jobs that I used to work at, Raised on the River.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I had
Everybody in Atlanta knows where Ray's on the
I
River
used
is.
to work there,
Okay.
and I had a New York strip, some Chardonnay.
Whoa.
Then we had this dessert that you light up.
Oh, it had like a sparkler on it?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So it was nice. But even when we were shopping, I wanted cards. I wanted cards.
Like gift cards?
Cards to where I can write the other ladies. So they helped me search for different kinds of cards. So
The ladies who were left in prison?
Yes, because I wanted them to know that people don't understand that a letter means a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's all it take. You don't know what the next person is going through, and they receive a letter, even if it's short. Keep your head up. I'm thinking about you. That means a lot. So I wanted them to know that I left, but they're not forgotten, and that now I can advocate.
Yeah. Wonderful. Good for you.
Yes.
What did you think of the technology at Target?
It was
the beep.
Oh, it was so different. Everything is through card, bigger. Everything has to be bigger.
But when you entered prison at the age of 21, were there cell phones then? I'm just trying to remember.
Yeah, it was still cell phones, but it nothing like how it is now. Like everything is more upgraded.
Yeah.
Like even this GPS that's in the cars. I'm seeing
you have the map,
right?
The paper map.
I'm seeing robots delivering food.
Yeah.
So roads and buildings, everything construction everything has to be bigger or wider or expanded, and it made me feel a little sad because going in there and shopping, that's something me and my grandma would do.
Oh, okay.
But other than that, it became a little overwhelming because I'm so used to doing this with my grandma, or she's taking me shopping. But you should have seen the smiles on the attorney's face. Happy to get me clothes and snacks.
How bad.
And they're all dividing themselves. Oh, I'm going to go here. While you ladies, the guys, I'll get the snacks. Y'all stay in the ladies section with the bras and the panties. So they all divided, and then we all come back. And we took pictures, and
it was
wonderful. Just a joyous moment.
Nicole, what does life today look like for you? Where are you as far as like monetarily or, your mind?
My mind has always been stable. It's still stable. And I think also that's what helped me while I was inside of prison.
Yeah.
My body was there, but my mind was out here. Mentally, it saddens me as far as out here, like all of the help that I said I was going to be given, not true. Everything that I've received came from the attorneys, came from different organizations, friends, Candace, you, different people that I just met. And I'm grateful for the help, but I want the help that the state told me that they would give me. Y'all should help us too.
Yeah.
And that's what hurt. And to be put in situations that I didn't think I would be put in.
Yeah. I mean, in my mind, I think 23 years in prison, you have absolutely nothing.
Right.
Zero. Nothing.
Right.
And you walk out that door and you take a breath of fresh air and the sun shines on your face. And then you ask for something that you feel that you should be entitled to, and you're turned down.
Right. And the saddest thing about it, I know people do take advantage of certain situations.
Yeah, that's always going to happen.
But Candace, I wasn't asking for a handout.
No.
I was only asking for things to help me. I don't want to be on assistance or anything like that forever because I love to work for the things that I have. And when you work for stuff and you receive things after, it makes me feel good because my hands was on it.
Yeah.
I worked hard for that.
Yeah.
So I was never the type of person to look for any handout or just take advantage of different things.
Yeah. What do you call home now?
I have a new apartment.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Yay.
I have a new apartment, but I was staying at a program house called the Swim House.
Swim?
It's called Swim.
SWIM, okay.
Yes. And it was paid up for 90 days for me to stay there until
And who paid that?
the Georgia Coalition Against Domestic
Okay,
Violence.
all
They
right.
paid for it.
Okay, wonderful.
Yes.
Good.
And so after the one day in the hotel, that was the next step. The next day,
Okay,
I went to the house.
okay, okay. And tell me about the apartment. What, when are you moving in? Or
So my first moving date was initially March the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started moving things in. But because of the location in the area, I didn't want to miss your podcast.
Oh, thank you.
So my actual moving date would be tomorrow,
Okay,
which is the 18th.
big day.
Yes, big day.
All right. And what about employment? What?
So I still have my job. They have been waiting on me for a year.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and they are called Flowers at Villa Record Company. It's a
Okay.
bakery. And Flowers is the second largest bakery in the state of Georgia. They produce Sunbeam, Wonder Bread, all kinds of.
Okay.
Yes.
Bakery goods.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
And so my position is an operation technician.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So you'll be living close by your work then? Right?
5 to 10 minutes walking distance.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And I understand you have a GoFundMe page set up.
Yes, I do. And
Tell us about that.
the GoFundMe is to just, help me get on my feet. Now that I have an apartment, it needs to be furnished and just the basic necessities. Car, of course, transportation. Because even though the job has been waiting on me, I have not officially started yet.
Okay.
So I need to have all of those things incorporated together.
Okay. All right.
And
Wow. Anything else you'd like to say, Nicole, before we close?
yes, I would like everybody to know that we all go through things, we struggle, but God did not build us to break us. He built us so that we can be great. And when we trust and believe in Him, even when we feel like things are going wrong or we have no backing, He will always put somebody in your path to show you who He is. And whenever you have somebody that tries to break you or destroy you, God will always still bless you in front of that person who tries to hurt you. So continue to keep pressing.
Thank you so much, Nicole.
Thank you for having me.
You're a wonderful soul.
Thank you so much.
Please stay in my life.
I definitely will.
All right. And come back anytime.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Nicole, thank you for trusting us with your story. Your courage in sharing what you've endured and the strength it's taken to rebuild your life after 23 years is something that truly inspires us all. I know everyone watching is proud of the strength you've shown and the life you are now working so hard to rebuild. Your life is more than a single moment. It is more than a court transcript. It is more than a sentence. It's a story of trauma and survival, growth, and now a new beginning. For those listening, if this conversation moved you, I encourage you to sit with it, share it, talk about it. Domestic violence does not always look the way we expect it to, and justice is not always as simple as it seems. If you feel called to support Nicole as she rebuilds her life after 23 years of incarceration, we've included a link to her GoFundMe in the show's notes. Reentry is not easy, especially for women who have survived abuse, and community support can make a meaningful difference. To everyone listening who sees themselves in parts of Nicole's story, you're not alone. Your trauma does not define your worth. Your survival matters. Follow me on Instagram, CandiceMorrow.author, to hear an important conversation I had with her attorney, Heath Varnado, with Alston and Bird, where we discussed the new law that made her release possible. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Behind the Bruises. And remember, healing is possible, and always you matter. You did great. You did great.
Thank you.
Now one more hour. Oh, no more taking away her power. Not one more day. Her new theme. She's living wide awake in a dream.